I'm Dr. Ian Britton, an academic who studies volunteers in policing internationally, and I'm delighted to continue our series of interviews on Policing TV with experts and leaders around the world of volunteer policing and community engagement by being joined today by Merari Paye from the Philippines. So Merari, would you first like to introduce yourself? A huge welcome to Policing TV. Share with us your history of involvement with policing and also your current academic role.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Bidon. First of all, I extend my gratitude for this invitation. I am privileged for this opportunity to share my work and insight on community mobilization. I am Mr. Merari Payay, an assistant professor at Laguna State Polytechnic University here in the Philippines. And before I joined in the academe, I was a former police officer for a very short period of time. And eventually, I decided to shift my career to academe, driven by the desire to make a more impact in the community through doing like this research, conducting programs that will help the community through our extension services, and of course, sharing my knowledge and experiences to contribute to shaping better professionals. And currently, I'm interested in doing work in policing and criminal justice, which is the reason why I have done this research.
Thank you, and sounds like a fascinating career, and I'm really interested to hear more about what the volunteering and community mobilization looks like in the Philippines. So you've undertaken some research work specifically into community mobilization. Before we examine the specific case study in Laguna province, could you explain to viewers the community mobilization approach in the Philippines and how it works?
Yeah. A community mobilization was institutionalized in 2017 by the Philippine National Police, the Police Regional Office 4A Calabarzon, where Laguna province belongs, the local of this study. So it has almost 8 years of implementation. And among the 17 police regions in the Philippines, it is only our region who institutionalized this as a crime prevention program. Where this program was initiated due to the increasing number of incidents despite the various interventions done by the police, and also due to the insufficient number of personnel deployed in crime prevention. So it is believed that community mobilization will serve as a solution to the increasing number of crime and insufficiency of police personnel. And actually, the community mobilization was anchored with the concept that crime prevention is not only the sole responsibility of the police, but it is a shared responsibility with the community. That's why the purpose of having this crime prevention program is to identify to intensify the involvement of community in crime prevention and creating community defense system in the fight against crimes. So in the Philippines, the implementation of this program will be implemented by the police as the main player and the local government. This will be this will be implemented in the barangay level, and when we say barangay, here it is the same to a village. Actually, it is the smallest administrative division in our government. The police will initiate the programs by identifying prioritized target barangay or a village for mobilization. Once selected, they will implement a 7 days immersion program. This includes community profiling, during which the police will assess the neighborhood to identify its specific needs. Residents also will be then organized into clusters of 20 members each, with a designated cluster leader who will serve as the main contact for communication and coordination. Following this, various empowerment activities such as training sessions, seminars will be conducted based on the community identified needs. Well, this initiative aims to equip residents with the knowledge and skills necessary to help prevent crime within their own communities. Upon completion of all activities, the police will apply for certification recognizing the barangay as mobilized. A certified barangay is expected to play a significant role in crime prevention and reduction, contributing to a safer and more empowered community. However, police personnel faces different issues that hinder the effectiveness of implementation, where many key personnel in the local government that play significant role were found to be unsupportive. The police also have an insufficient resources, and the requirements of higher ranks for certifying a barangay as mobilized community is too much consuming. There are many documents to comply which undermine the time of police personnel, instead of going there in the field to conduct mobilization activities. Where they require a lot of documentary requirements for certification, which really steals the time of police personnel to do mobilization activities. And following these challenges, they have an ineffective countermeasures since most of it lies on the expense of police personnel. This makes the program to have an insufficient impact.
No, thank you. And as we come into your particular community mobilisation case study in Laguna Police Provincial Office, can you just give a sense of who in the community is mobilised? So when you are mobilising that particular village or small administrative unit, who gets involved? What agencies or organisations get involved? Do local people get involved? How many people would be involved? Just give us a sense of what that community mobilisation actually looks like in practice.
Yeah, so community mobilization will be implemented to organize the community and activate them to perform necessary things in order to prevent crimes. This is for the reason that the police also are insufficient. So the community mobilization aims to activate community groups. So there are many community groups in the Philippines here in the community. We have different sectors like the youth, like the women's organization, the seniors and drivers organization. So all of them will be aimed to be mobilized by the police in such a way that they will perform the necessary task in their contribution in crime prevention.
Thank you. And for the case study, as an academic, what methodology did you use, and what were your key findings in Laguna?
I did a face-to-face interview to key police personnel in community mobilization of different police stations in the province of Laguna. I also interviewed community residents and barangay personnel to validate the data from police personnel. And lastly, I triangulated the data with the documents in community mobilization, such as the memorandum circular on community mobilization where the plan was drawn, and the police reports on community mobilization containing the actual implementation. And I found in this study that the actual target identification of which barangay is to be mobilized has an issue. Since this police personnel select barangay that has already a good state of peace and order and certified as drug cleared. In short, it is not problematic. This is in contrary to the ideal policing where policing activities should be introduced to areas that has a high crime incident. But they do this to easily gain more number of certified mobilized barangay to add in their accomplishment. And actually, the main findings is that the approaches and strategies by the police in mobilizing a community was outweighed by hindrances they encountered and accompanied with ineffective countermeasures, undermining the effectiveness of this crime prevention program. And these findings will provide answer to the continuous proliferation of crime despite the years of implementation of this program.
And you identify amongst those challenges one that the partner agencies are sometimes not always supportive, such as local government, and also a lack of resources to deliver. What do you think could be done to help combat some of those challenges?
For the issue that key personnel are unsupportive, the practical solution to this is to mandate them. Mandate these key personnel in the barangay and local government offices to do necessary tasks contributing to the progress of community mobilization. This will be done through requiring them to submit an accomplishment report, just like what the police is doing. They are submitting accomplishment report, so they are mandated also to perform necessary tasks. This may be required by the concerned head in the local government who have control to this personnel. Because it seems that they are confident of not doing their part because they are not required to submit an accomplishment. So this is the simple yet practical solution to this issue.
Thank you. And the community mobilization model, as you've said, makes a resource challenge on policing. On the local police personnel, it seemed to be time-consuming and demanding for what are stretched frontline police personnel resources. This seems to be a common challenge for community engagement partnership approaches in lots of areas of the world, where they just require a lot of time from the police to make them happen and to implement them effectively. In your work, do you identify any potential solutions for this, how we might enable the police to deliver this sort of approach?
The potential solution for this is in the hand of police administrators. They may lessen the administrative workload of those key personnel in community mobilization, so they will be having a more time focusing in the actual field of mobilization. And I found in this study that they struggle and spend more time in making a bulk report due to many requirements, given the fact that they also have other designations. This is the problem that steals their time in going to the community and conducting mobilization activities. And aside from that, they may also assign additional personnel that will solely be in charge of community mobilization. So there will be no multitasking of personnel. In this manner, personnel on community mobilization may have more time and focus for doing mobilization activities. And on the aspect of resources, aside from seeking more aid from the government, the police may outsource from the different community sectors and government agencies, like when they lack of a resource speaker in a certain seminar or training in the community, they may ask other government agencies to provide, or they may ask private organizations or other stakeholders to provide one. In terms of fund, they may also support or seek support from the private business enterprises or other stakeholders. And this may be possible because of our culture of mutual aid, where everybody is helping together. And these business enterprises also benefit from the outcome of this program. So outsourcing is the possible solution for this lack of resources.
And you mention in your research the force multiplier impact of barangay tanods, the sort of volunteer community role directly involved within the police as part of the community mobilization approach. Can you explain for an international audience simply who they are and what role they play?
Barangay tanods are police auxiliary in the barangay, in the community. They are civilians, but not part of the police force, who were appointed by the barangay chief executive, the chieftain in a certain village. They serve as agent of peace and order in the barangays where they belong. Actually, they were institutionalized in 1991 by the enactment of our local government code. And most often, they are elders due to our culture that we, the young ones, must obey our elders. So in that context, they may be efficient in maintaining peace and order in the community. And in community mobilization, since these barangay tanods were already organized under the barangay local government, the only thing that the police do is to empower them by providing seminars, trainings for them to be effective in the performance of their mandates in keeping peace and order.
So in terms of your study, what do you think internationally people could learn from this? So what could people learn in other countries from your work studying community mobilization in the Philippines?
It is very important that police leaders may conduct regular reviews of plans and programs, not only at the higher level, but also at the lower level where the actual operational implementation is being done. The review may be done in a scientific manner on how the plans are actually implemented. This is to avoid issues such as this, where police are implementing programs for many years, but there's no significant impact. So it implies a waste of effort and resources. In addition, outsourcing is one of the learning that may be taken from this study to address the innate problem of policing worldwide, the lack of resources and time-consuming activities. So they may outsource from different community sectors, business enterprises, different organizations in the community.
And you're currently undertaking more research in the area of volunteerism and community mobilization. What is that academic work focusing on?
Yeah, I'm actually in the process of crafting my own version in community mobilization as an output of this study. And I want to utilize one of our core mandates here in the State University, the extension service, wherein we extend help to the community based on what they need that we identified in our research. So through this, the crafted version of community mobilization will be implemented in our own effort to aid the police in mobilizing the community and provide more efficient impact to the community in crime prevention and maintenance of peace and order.
And from all your policing experience, considerable research experience around this, you clearly think that effective community mobilization is really important. You've said that sense of this isn't just the police alone, that involving more broadly is really important. What do you think we as researchers should be focusing on to help policing develop an evidence-based best practice in terms of community mobilisation?
That's great. I suggest taking a study on digital and hybrid mobilization, how the technology and online platform influence community mobilization. And other than that is on the cultural and contextual adaptation, since strategies and approaches may not be generalized to every communities because they vary on culture and norms. So it requires different strategies and approaches depending on the culture and norms that the community has. This may help in bringing community mobilization to success, achieving its goals.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Mirari Paye, for giving us your insight around community mobilisation in the Philippines. Such an insightful sense of how you can effectively engage at a very local level communities. And I think what your research is very much reflecting is that how you manage the process, the roles that policing do, how you make that perhaps less bureaucratic, how you effectively engage other organisations and the wider community are all really important about. I think what you're saying has a huge amount of relevance for lots of international settings around the world in how policing better engages and mobilises its communities. So thank you very much for joining us on Policing TV. It's been a really very, very interesting conversation, and certainly I personally look forward to linking up more with you and hearing more from a research point of view in times to come. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.